All right, kids, so this video is not going to be exactly like the things you're going to do this week, but there are some things in this video that you will be able to use in your functions that you create this week. So this is a password validator, and I am checking if a password meets certain conditions. So for example, a password is valid if it's at least 8 characters long, has at least one digit, 0 through 9, and has at least one uppercase letter, A through Z. And in this video, you're going to see how to handle these three things. In particular, how to figure out if there's at least a digit in there or at least one uppercase letter. And so, for example, if you want to pause the video and check out these cases right here in lines 16 through 20, that is what should happen. In lines 26 through 28, this is the function that I need to create, and it's going to require some sort of a parameter. And then don't make any changes down here at the bottom. These are all of the test cases. So when I run this, it's just going to be printed out into the console. And you can see all of these have a match that is false because it was either expected to be invalid or valid and got undefined instead because I haven't created the function yet. So let's go ahead and work on this function. So I'm going to need a password or a password. I'm going to need a parameter, and I'm going to call this parameter word because it's just a word, and cybersecurity would call this plain text, but this will be word. And I want to check three conditions. The conditions I want to check is, are there at least 8 characters? And is there a digit? And is there an uppercase letter? And so typically what we would do in a case like this is I would go ahead and define the variables. This is going to be a local variable existing only inside this function. And I'll call this first one has 8 and GHT. And I'm going to set it equal to false right off the bat. And then there's another one, another local variable has digit. And I'm going to assume that does not have a digit either. And then the last one is var has uppercase. And I'll just call it has upper. And I will set that equal to false. And what we're going to do is we are going to assume that our password is bad. In other words, all of those variables are false. And when we traverse through the password, if we find a case where, hey, it does have 8 characters, we'll change it from false to true. And it's just easier to do it that way, believe it or not. So the first thing that's easiest to check is, does it have 8 parameters? So if word dot length, word is my parameter. If that is greater than or equal to 8, if that's the case, then I want to set has 8. I want to set that equal to true. So that's good. So if my password is long, right away it will toggle the has 8 variable from false to true. And that's the one thing I want to check. So now I am going to go ahead and traverse through the string itself. So for var I starts at 0, I is less than the length of the word. Word is my parameter, and I'm going to add 1 every time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to check to see if there is a digit in the password. And here's how we do that. If the first, well, whatever, not curly braces, that was stupid of me. if word.I is greater than or equal to, and in quotes, I'm going to put in 0. I have to put it in quotes because we're dealing with a string. So I want it to be, is it greater than the 0 string digit, if you will, and it's less than or equal to, and I'll put the 9 in quotes. So if that is the case, if one of the characters in this parameter word, if one of those characters is between 0 and 9 as strings are, so these are strings, so it could be 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 9. If that's the case, what I'm going to do is I am going to set the has digit variable, has digit, I'm going to set it equal to true. So that is, I've got my has8 variable taken care of right there and my has digit variable. I'm going to do the same thing for, is there an uppercase letter? So if word at I is greater than or equal to, and that would be a capital A, and word at index I is less than or equal to capital Z. So that says that the letter is a capital letter between A and Z. That's what that says. If that's the case, I'm going to make has upper, I'm going to set that equal to true. And I think that's pretty good right there. So here is what I want to do now. So what I want to do is I'm going to go, I'm outside. This is the curly brace for the for loop. So I want to go past that. And I'm going to go if it has 8 and it has a digit and has an upper. If all three of those are true, I want to return true. And now I want to go past this and down kind of into the function itself, and I will return false. Now this might be a little bit confusing to you, so let me explain this. Okay, I go through line by line. So I go line 27, 28, 29, 30, and I go through the loop. And if each of those variables is true, then I'm going to return the value true, and I'm going to hop out of this function and I won't do anything more in the function. So I will return true, that's good. If one of these variables has 8, has digit, or has upper, if one or more of them are false, I will not do this return statement. But when I go back into the function will just return false, which is what I wanted to do. I can't use an if-else statement here because I'll get what's called an unreachable error. So this is how I would handle that function. So let's see what happens. Will this work? So run it. Oh, yes. So I don't want to return true and false. What I want to do is I want to return valid. Now let me try that again with feeling this time. Valid. And then this will be, in quotes, invalid. And now let's run it, see if it works this time. As looking at that, well, that's not correct. And so looking at my outputs down there at the bottom, I think the match is true on all of them. So that's pretty good. So you're going to need to use this stuff. You'll probably need to use this sometime during the course of the week, and you'll need to use this sometime during the course of the week. So keep that in mind, kids.